All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ez. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sapienta. I'm here in RSA with some of the good friends of the Adversary Village and some good friends from INL. Amazing stuff is happening here. I'll let them talk more about it in this little episode, but we'll start with quick introductions. I'll give it off to you.
My name is Jeff Hahn. I am program manager for Idaho National Laboratory, doing training for industrial control systems with the IT, OT, convergence, and experiences, all sorts of things.
100%.
I'm Michelle Farrell, working with Jeff to support national security communications at INL.
My name is Len No. I am a human augmented cyborg hacker, and I currently am enjoying being unemployed.
Hello, I am Katie Greathouse, and I'm a cybersecurity analyst. My experience has been in Fortune 500 companies here in the Bay Area, and I'm here at RSA. I think this is my 24th year.
Wow. You're up for parole next year, I think.
You're not that old.
Yeah. My name is Abhijit. I would like to introduce myself as ABX. And I'm kind of, manage Adversary Village at Tahoun and a couple of other conferences here in RSA as well. And basically, I'm a hacker, that's all.
Super cool. Thank you for everybody for being here. I want to start it off maybe with some of the cool stuff that INL is doing. Earlier today, I checked out their exhibition. They have an escape room. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that came together?
Yeah, so our escape room here at RSA is a convergence of ICS and escape rooms. Now, so within your normal escape rooms, you have the logical, physical puzzles and challenges. We've got that, but we've taken learning objectives from our training that we provide. And so we have the cyber automation control systems in it. The one that we have like 8 of them that we've developed. We have a course back in Idaho Falls. It's the ICS Red Team, Blue Team exercise training. And within that, we do some breakout sessions with, talking about ICS architecture. We talk about wireless. We talk about, defending. We talk about from the attacker perspective.
Super
so
cool.
You need to know how to attack so you can defend properly, right?
Who's the target audience?
What's that?
Who's the target audience for that kind of escape room?
The target audience for that is really industrial control system folks everywhere. We have people coming from all over, from the government, from
All over the globe. We have people internationally, but we support a lot of federal industry, academia, all career levels. We even have, CISOs and managers that are interested in team building.
This is a broad training, gives a wide experience. Because of the exercise is fairly unique, where it's nothing scripted. The students become the red team, students become the blue team. We have our instructors there as wikis to help them figure out what they need to do and answer questions, but it's not, this is what you got to do, go do this or whatever. If they ask questions, we'll answer them. And so nothing scripted, so it's a lot of fun. It's scored. And we help them out. We want to make sure that things are equal on both sides, because you got to have pressure and you got to have resistance, right? And so as long as that's going on, it's just a lot of fun. Anyway, the learning objectives that we provide from that course, we implement into our escape rooms. We have 4 different escape rooms during this training, and all of them provide a critical thinking opportunity for the students to come in, and instead of having a lesson, and you got to type this in, and that's what you see on the screen, and yep, that's the same thing that I got in the book. I did good, right? Now all of a sudden you've got to do something.
Get 60 minutes to apply that skill.
Apply it and figure out what you got to do. So that's what it's all about. The one we have here is called Pandemonium. We've got a company that had a hostile takeover. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but
On which side?
right? So
Receiver.
Oh, receiver? No.
Oh, no.
Never experienced that.
never experienced that. Okay.
Producer? Maybe.
So on the way out, the employees that were fired, they caused a little bit of pandemonium. So we call it pandemonium, right? They caused problems with the PLC. They defaced the HMI. They turned off power to the substation and then just caused all sorts of problems, making a mess on the way out too. So going into this escape room, we got to create order out of chaos. It's a lot of fun.
I must ask, is that the same room that I've seen at S4? I think you guys run rooms all over that place. Whenever I go to a conference, there's a room.
We went to S4 last year with this conference, with
Yeah.
this escape room.
Fair enough.
We did.
You also do DEF CON?
Black Start we
Yep.
took to, yeah. So
Black Hat,
So-
DEF CON.
So last
DEF
year,
CON, yeah.
last year we went with Pandemonium, and then this year we went with Black
Oh,
Star.
last year you did. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of this out in the wild these days, and one of the things that I think is really cool is the adversarial pressure. I've seen one of the bigger ones I've seen that is like this is over in Europe, and they literally have an entire setup exactly like you're saying. They've got OT, IT controls, but in addition to that, it's set up as they're a knock, and they'll have actors come in. And the first will be the CEO, and we're being hacked, and then they'll have people come in that are dressed like police officers, and they get to feel that pressure that
Yeah.
you have in a real scenario that I don't think you're going to get anywhere else, especially from a defensive perspective. It's not just about figuring out the attack, the entry points, the effectiveness. You also have the pressure of your management, potentially regulatory, depending on what industry you're in. That's something that you can't really experience outside of a real scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
When you
that's-
talk about
Big
it,
communications is a big part they play too. Yeah.
100%.
Habibi, you may remember the game Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Like, we used to do that game. But in order to escape from different scenarios, right? So the same thing has been implemented here in the real world, real set of attack, real set of devices and console. It's kind of wonderful, right?
Super cool. So,
Absolutely.
is it mainly about attracting attention to cybersecurity for people that are newbies, or is it mainly about allowing them to realize their gaps? Like, is it like gap analysis and like how we collaborate, or is it more about a stunt that people never forget about this kind of experience and they go back and you inspire a new generation kind of thing? And I know you're one to talk about stunts because your body is all about stunts for hacking, but
My body is a playground. It's a
It
lab.
is completely interesting.
for those that don't know, for context, can you show them your hands?
Well, I can show little tricks like these.
Oh my God, there you go.
So that's one. That's one. I currently have 11 different microchips in my body, and I pulled this out just to kind of show everybody.
Oh my God.
I'm one of the few people that I know that I was at Wild West Hacking Fest, which another conference, and somebody walked up and they were like, "Can I scan you?" I'm like, "This is new. I've never actually had anybody who decided to actually just ask if
my
they would
God.
scan me." So just like that, there's the MyFair Classic that I have in my hand, and I currently have 11 different microchips, everything from RFID, NFC. I can interface to about 420 different physical access protocols, Prox, Diamond, Pyramid, Indala, HID. I have an 8K DesFire in this arm, and I actually am very, very well known for showing how people can use these as offensive security. But,
Oh my
but
God.
what we can also do is use them for enhancing our own security. So, at the risk of, it's always when you're actually live. There we go. So this is actually how I get to my OTPs.
Oh my God.
This
Wow.
is also my BIP32 crypto wallet key. This is HMAX SHA-1. It's FIPS certified. It's a PGP key. And if you have a Tesla, you can actually put your Tesla valet key on here and just get in the car and drive.
That's crazy.
So I use these types of technology for not only offensive purposes, but to actually increase my defensive purposes in an ever-evolving technical landscape of the internet and the world that we live in.
Most people stop at biometrics.
I'm not a big fan of biometrics, if you want to know the truth. I think they're the worst form of security in the world. I really
Yeah.
do, and I'll tell you why. Once you register your face with your phone, there is malware out there that can steal that biometric template, and you cannot rotate your face like a password. The landmarks that are used for biometrics, once they've been compromised, you're done. So I am not a fan of biometrics in any way, shape, or form.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Has like that kind of stunt, is that like inspiring for the next generation?
Well, to be honest, I think everybody looks at me like I'm on the fringe right now. But the truth is, I figure give it 5 to 7 years, and I'm going to be looked at like an original Nintendo
100%.
or a PlayStation 1. You know, I am the beginning of the tech, but, you know, we're sitting on right on the edge of not only quantum computing, graphene batteries. You know, once we can get internal power, you know, it's a game changer. Everything that is commercially available right now, and I don't know if I can say the website. Hint, hint, can I?
100%. I think you can.
Dangerousthings.com.
Okay.
You know, I think it was named very appropriately. The CEO, Amal Garafstra, was actually the first person to bring consumer-grade implantable technology to the world.
Super cool. I really want to see him in your escape room.
That would
I
be
was going to
interesting.
ask,
Yeah.
do I get to, can I play?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. I would be very interested to see what would happen with you in that room, how you could interact with the
I
things
can
we've
do
got
with a
going there.
lot of wireless technologies, man. If there's a receiver, I have a chip that can actually get interface to it.
Okay.
More like it's not like bring your own device, like bring your own body.
100%.
Bring your own body.
Yes, I'm a BYOB.
So bring your own device. That brings a whole new concept to life, right?
And I'm going to leave this as an open statement on the table, and this goes right back to the Adversarial Village concepts. I came from a black hat history. I'm a retired 1%er outlaw gang member and spent the better part of my life as a criminal. What I've done by putting these tools inside my body, these are now covered under the same medical and health and privacy laws that we get with HIPAA and GDPR. So I actually have governmental laws that are obfuscating my tools.
Super cool. So you can walk with these into a data center.
I can walk with these into anywhere. You know, I love the one question, I have my own FAQ, I really do. The first one is, I'll give you the top two. Is this the same chip that's in my cat or dog? Same technology, different application.
Fair.
They're both NFC. Number two, how do you get through an airport? Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Most microchips are silicon, they're not metallic, so they're not going to be magnetic reactive.
100%.
And the body scans, these things, that's a density scanner, so it's looking between the body and the outside of the clothing. There is no actual detection capability for an augmented human that does not break federal law and privacy. With the exception, and this is a big exception, and I know this has a broad reach, so if anybody has an answer out there, hit me up on LinkedIn. I've been trying to get an answer to this question for the last 2.5 years. Everybody knows about drug-smelling dogs and cadaver dogs.
Right.
Did you know that they actually have dogs now that can actually smell technology and detect technology? They have tech-sniffing dogs.
Really?
And they're hitting on a chemical compound called triphenylphosphine oxide.
Really?
These are used in a lot of human trafficking cases, pedophilia cases, where unlike drug dogs, where it's going to be like, Len, at the airport, we want to talk to you. Different scenario. This is after someone has already been arrested, and they go to do a search of their property, and they're looking for portable hard drives, thumb drives, and other data storage devices that could have illegal information on them. So I have been trying for the last 2.5 years to find one of these dogs and their carriers that would be willing to see whether or not that the dogs could potentially smell the technology inside my hand.
Super cool.
And if you think back to the Terminator movie, where the rebels were, they always had the dogs there because the dogs could smell the machines. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a situation where life imitates life imitates art, or vice versa.
100%. That'd be crazy.
But this is the kind of things that, our leader here at ABX,
I know.
you are our leader.
No.
This is why
He's the Adversary Village leader. He's very humble.
He's a very humble man, but it's people like him that gave me the opportunity to explain these types of attack methodologies to other people, because you can't defend against an attack if you don't know that it even exists.
100%.
So it's like being adversarial. There is a lot. So if you talk about hundreds of years ago, there are invasions. Yeah, from being a country, we have faced so many invasions, right?
Right.
So the thing about invasions, every time an invader comes, there will be fortresses. They will find a way to bring down that fortress. The next time that country, they will be bringing up more defenses, right? The next time invaders are coming, they'll be finding themselves in a position to defend against the invaders. It's like the adversarial mindset and critical thinking that is there for a long, 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 long time. If you talk about our history, like we have been, taught that a lot of adversarial thinking kind of technology and philosophy, right? How you could use the adversarial techniques to think ahead of the attacker and bring something. Let's say the Porus, they came to India, and Alexander came to India, and King Porus, he was the one who defeated Alexander using elephants. Alexander doesn't know how to deal with elephants. Armored elephants with weapons. They didn't know how to defeat elephants at that time.
That sounds super cool.
Yeah, more like an adversary kind of. It is history. It's part of our history.
Right.
Alexander kind of defeated almost everywhere. Like he defeated everyone. Right? This is the only place where he got defeated because he didn't know how to deal with elephants. Just think about it. Elephants are attacking.
These were the 0 days?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
The
that
original.
The original 0 day was a freaking elephant.
Yeah,
Okay.
part of history.
Fair.
So it's like that thing, if we are putting forward that thinking, that kind of thinking, right? Is, like I mentioned, it's not only about systems, it's not only about how we're breaching into system. Everything adversarial.
It's a mindset.
It's a mindset, exactly. It's a mindset.
Makes
Well, we
sense.
see that a lot in escape rooms too. We were just talking about that human behavior, but how they overthink everything. And there's so many simple things like a locked utility box that has has
Well,
devices in it. And
that's
they
one
don't-
thing that
they
I
don't
wanted to
lock
ask.
it. It's not even protected.
With what you guys do, we see a lot of people coming into the village. I've seen a bunch of people today who sat down and started working through some of our activities and the challenges, and they approach it from a very defensive perspective.
Right.
And we all have heard the phrase, we need to think like the attacker.
Yes.
You need to think like the bad guy. Do you think, with what you guys do with the laboratory, do you think that that's something that can actually be taught?
That's a good question. We've been trying to teach that for a long time. To be able to flip that evil bit, as we call it. That's it.
I like that. Can I steal that?
Flip the
The
evil
evil
bit.
bit, yes.
Yeah, we're going to
Anyway.
flip this to the evil 0.
Right? Flip the evil. So as you start thinking about it, I don't know. Some people are just naturally good at it. Some people have to really work at it. So I don't know. Can it be taught? Probably so, but I think some people just naturally have that
More adept.
capability.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a safe place to learn, because I've been on the defensive side of enterprise
Yeah.
security. So be able to participate in an event like this or in the Adversary Village, it's exposing me to be able to protect or prevent these things.
So with your experience with on the defense side most of your life then, right?
Yeah. So
Coming
this-
into this adversary village now, so what is it like? Is it something that you're learning, or was it something that's just innate normal?
it's something you'd read about or hear about, but until you're actually like putting yourself in that environment, it's like getting yourself out there or thinking, just expanding your thinking and trying to train that mindset.
Basically, right now she's in the offensive thinking.
Yeah.
She jumped teams, right?
You jump deep into the
Yeah,
offense.
jump teams, yeah.
So has it improved your ability to defend?
Yes, I think it has, but I need more practice. So here I am. It's a safe place to do that.
Yeah,
The best defender is an educated person who understands the attacker's mind.
yeah.
100%. I wonder if the ICS escape room is all about teaching the next generation of like juniors that want to break into this kind of field and inspiring them similar to these kind of stunts or similar to the Adversary Village and the emulation stunts that we do there. Or is it more about helping people cross collab, maybe with the IT-OT fusion that we know is kind of like right there on the frontier?
Well, with the new generation coming up, they enjoy these type of activities, right? Escape room. Oh yeah, let's all go. We have groups come in. In fact, the last one we just ran, we had what?
Yeah, like six
Six
college kids that were here together.
They're just loving it, right? And it's an eye opener for them. It gives an opportunity to just wet their feet enough to create some interest, and then we hope that they continue on with that. And so it's not a full course. It's just dipping your toe in the water to give it a try, and so that's a lot of fun. And then, of course, we provide lots of other training, right? We got the hands-on, we've got the online training with the hands-on exercises. We got a new training coming up called Detect the Attacker. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's not just a forensics, but it's more of a threat hunting type of environment where we got to go in and find the attacker before the big boom, right, actually happens.
Basically playing with dwell time.
Exactly.
So when you talk about young guys, you can see that guy there, right? He builds our entire CT. He's the CTF master for Adversary Village. So when I met him, like at least 10 years ago, and he was very, very young. So he was the top hacker in a certain, I'm not naming anyone, a certain hacking platform. He was a top number one, like, whale dragging, he was in the top 5. And one time I hosted a CTF and he participated there and he won the CTF. He was so young, right? That's how I met him, right? So there onward he's my team for the last 6 years. He's been designing entirely the entire CTF infrastructure, which you see at Tahoun. That bloody guy builds that, right? I mean, he started way too young, at 17 or 18 years old.
That must be Harry.
Yeah,
Of course it is.
That is, yeah, Srihari, yeah. I mean, his full name is like Srihari Taiparambat Haridas. He himself is called Harry. That is easy to call, right? He builds the entire city because he started young and he got into the right path, and from there, right now he's a team leader at a major bank, major fintech company. And just imagine, he designs the entire city of infrastructure for Adversary Village for the last 5 years. Like you mentioned, when they are young, it is easy for us to train them and to make them go the right path. This is a really cool thing.
You definitely don't want to take the path I took.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get to cyber at some point, but after a lot of headaches and pain.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if AI as a wave would change education. Like,
Well, actually, I was about to go there. Actually, back to, if I may ask him a question. You brought up the question about the next generation. Me and ABX here, we were having a conversation yesterday about what does the future even look like for our industry. When we look at things like what you're doing with the lab, and we talk about pen tests. Pen tests are extremely expensive, usually very limited in scope. We're starting to see more AI integration into pen testing platforms, and I'm not naming any because I'm not giving any fee. But I'm just saying, now we have the ability to do continuous style pen testing in production environments even. Where does that leave people like us, and how does that work into any type of job opportunity for somebody in the future? And it's something that I've been really, really concerned about.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a good question. I see AI becoming more and more involved in the things that we do, and being familiar and understand how to interact with the AI and its limitations. I mean, some people just say, ask a specific AI program a question, and then take everything they get at face value and say, it's absolutely truth, right? Everything I get.
We've seen a bunch of
But it's
lawyers really screw up in court
right?
cases over that.
Exactly. And so garbage in, garbage out, truth in, truth out, as well as the underlying concepts of how it was built, all go into it. And as well as everything you put into it, of course, becomes that public knowledge of that AI platform as well.
Exactly.
So you got to be careful of how you actually use it and interact with it,
Oh, absolutely.
Humans that are training it. Yeah.
right? Fallible humans, but people expect it to be a perfect system.
Yeah, so it can be biased as well.
The funny thing is I have a lot of people that ask me what advice do I give to people that want to get into this industry, and my answers have changed over time. And currently, I'm like, you need to learn everything that you can about the fundamentals of the systems, and then spend a lot of time in language classes. Learn English, learn how to create the correct question to get the answer out.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it used to be where it's like take your CompTIA, your Net Plus, your A Plus, your Sec Plus, then you go to your SANS course and you've got a career. It's not like that anymore.
No, it's
You know,
not.
and with all, oh God, what do they call it? I just had it this earlier. Oh, the proxy programming, or what are they calling it now?
Student exchange?
When you're basically using the AI to
Oh, vibe coding.
vibe coding. Yeah, I forgot the current
There was
term
a session
for
today
it.
on vibe hacking at the Adversary Village.
Yeah.
We are vibe doing everything.
But that,
we're gonna
that,
be
that was
vibe.
exactly where I was going. You know,
accounting
at
and
this
vibe
point,
lawyering.
you know, do you really need to know this stuff anymore, or
Right.
can you just, you know, basically vibe it, and the next thing you know, you have your text strings. You know, so is security? I think it's going to wind up being a very strong push for base critical knowledge, but being able to properly form the questions to get the answers back out is where I think the future of our industry may lie.
100%. I wonder if, and you make a great point, like you have to formulate the right questions because it's all about, I guess, asking in the right way and giving it the right context, which is all.
I figure that the AI engineers of today are basically akin to the DBAs of old, you know. It was all about writing the right SQL query to be able to get the information out of a database, and now we're just doing it with prompts.
Yeah. Knowing how to phrase those prompts
Absolutely.
to make that happen, right? The
Absolutely.
communication.
Yeah.
I missed the select star from this where condition equals. Why can't we just go back?
Yeah, how to ask the right
We
questions.
even have in the
Yeah.
OT, people are even starting to bring back the man in the loop or the physical component to some of this. As we go that far direction with the AI, I hear more people starting to talk about maybe it's just easier to have the person there.
You know, and the screwy thing is I've asked just
Cheaper too.
I've thrown this out there as just a general question, and I would love to get everyone's answer to this. Where does it go when we reach that point of general AI, and you know, we can basically get to the point where it's cost effective to actually start doing these types of replacements
Right.
for low-income jobs? I've put out there, and this is my dystopian prediction, that the only place that the humans will be able to find jobs is going to be in some type of metaverse where you don't want a bot. So imagine working for Nike.com
Oh my
as an avatar in their store so that you can actually talk to a human when you're in the digital world.
That's a very dystopian future.
But I think we're going there.
I hope I don't see it.
You know, you see that company. You know, you go into a store and there's, you know, now you have self checkouts and stuff
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that. And doing it, I don't want to talk to somebody, right? Everybody's becoming an introvert, which is a challenge. One of the things that we really push in our training is communication.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, especially
from
solving
the
like the escape room.
escape room. You know, if you don't communicate in the escape room, you're going to fail.
That's it.
Because someone's going to solve a problem, and they're going to have a 4-digit code, and someone over there is next to them is trying to brute force a 4-digit code lock, you know, and it's just comical. We see the same thing in the difference between OT and IT. They become silos. Nobody wants to talk to the other because of other problems that they've had, right? The challenges. IT's tried to force their whole process onto the OT system, and it just breaks it. You just can't work that way. And so getting together, bringing those two cultures together and communicating, saying this is why we do what we do and this is what we need. We could use your help on this, and don't try to solve this problem. We got this one covered. All those types of things, right? You got to communicate.
Isn't that a problem of context? Like, as a security engineer from the IT world, if I go into OT, I might not have the chemical engineering background to understand why an oil pump shouldn't mix these two fluids, for instance.
Well, that too, right?
Well, someone who's an OT security person probably has a mechanical degree or something like that.
Sure. But I mean, it goes into like even. I know you don't like passwords, but you know.
Actually, I love them, and I just like other people's.
I don't like my password.
I like your password and his password, not my own.
Right? But you go into a control room, and passwords and lockout, you know, a system that will lock out after a few minutes is very detrimental to the whole process, right? if you have a process that you need to monitor and watch all the time, being able to, when the alarms are going off, you have to go in and enter a 23-character password.
Right.
That takes away time that you need to be able to resolve the problem. And so in certain situations, those types of things gets in the way, and you just can't implement. Sometimes encryption is bad, right? We think, oh, privacy, you've got to have encryption.
The CIA triad, essentially.
The CIA triad, right? It becomes AIC. You need availability, you need integrity, and then you need confidentiality.
So it's a difference of mindset and a difference of context.
It is. And when you communicate and you help understand the IT world, OT world, they can work together. And that's what we try to push in the things that we do.
That's where the team play comes in.
100%.
I cannot be a master of everything, right? So that's why when we talk about offensive security teams, we have a mix of people with all kind of backgrounds. You talk about critical thinking, there must be someone with high efficient critical thinking mindset. Maybe most probably that guy will be leading that team. Maybe there will be someone with a coding experience. Maybe he is not well with writing, phishing. For that we need a communication staff. If I am going to write a phishing email, that is going to more look like, okay, hey guys, just please join. No, it doesn't work like that. We need a communication guy, someone like S to compose a phishing email for us. So that's how a selfless team, team works, right? We need a team of people who are expert into different aspects of security, whether it's offense or defense, and they need to work together in a egoless manner. Sometimes what we are seeing in the enterprise world, ego and many verticals. It is very hard to collaborate. We all the time we talk about collaboration. It is kind of it is a bit hard. Right? So you talk about password. Someone is better at hacking passwords. Someone is better at breaching into buildings, hacking humans. Right? So as a team, I'm talking about enterprise security. As a team, you can solve each other's problems. Right? That's how you succeed as a security team with collaboration and
100%.
a mix of diverse set of people.
It's about people, process, technology.
Yeah, exactly.
And proper utilization of those resources.
Exactly.
So in the people and process, essentially you get the people to go through these kind of escape rooms and work on the collaboration side. And on the process, you essentially refer to some sort of like guidelines or regulations that give you essentially how could you possibly integrate well in a compliant manner. And on technology, you're hoping for something that would essentially allow them to cross-communicate across these two dimensions of OT and IT.
Sometimes regulation requires that, right?
Or is it not just communication? It's a matter of like bringing both contexts as well.
Is be able to understand it. You talk about regulation and all those requirements. That's a good place to start.
Right.
But that doesn't give you security either. Right? You can be compliant and be bad, right? Be really bad and cause all sorts of problems. I've talked to people where they had to take away security features in order to be compliant because of the way things were written. And so, yeah.
I've always
when we
felt
talk
that security is a state of mind. It is not a state of being.
It starts that way, doesn't it? I mean, you gotta think about it. It's just like being safe, right? It's just it's a place.
Security.
Are you
in my
only safe
opinion,
at work or
Yeah.
at home as well?
Exactly. Security is a state of mind. If I have enough controls in place, if I've done my research, then I can feel like I'm secure. Does it make me secure? Not at all, but it's an emotional position to a physical state.
Fair enough. Would you think if we were to scale each other, and that's going to loop us back to the AI part probably, but if we were to scale our effects, like if you want to scale your mentorship, or if you want to scale your teaching, if you want to scale your essentially activities in Adversary Village, are you able to scale your impact as a human and be at a lot of different places today with the technology? Or is there a missing part of technology that can allow us to get these kind of messages out? Like for instance, if you take the AI part as a concept, in reality you can probably train some sort of an LLM to mimic you. Like they would have all of your text in Twitter, we have all of your text elsewhere that it can mimic you.
But
And of
that's not
course,
you. You know, if you want to talk about what you're talking about, you're talking about like groups like the 2045 organization.
yeah.
You know, are you guys familiar with that one?
No.
The 2045 org is a group of scientists, doctors that believe that we will be able to download or essentially fork our consciousness like a Git repo by the year 2045.
We're talking about that, yes.
Really?
And a lot of that is based off of projections of brain-computer interface capabilities that are currently not even there. I mean, at this point in time, you know, you've got Neuralink that everybody's heard of,
Right.
which is just a continuation of BrainGate and every other BCI and BCM that came before it. And that requires open skull brain surgery. There are other alternatives out there that are actually using stent and catheter style methodologies, but at the end of the day, we are still limited to 5 basic actions with BCI today.
100%.
Up, down, left, right, click. That's it. You know, and if we're talking about the stuff that you're getting into as far as, you know, downloading our consciousness, forking ourselves, having a digital us out there, we have a lot to move in terms of the lines of social and moral acceptability before we can ever even get to the point to actually discussing this in reality.
Fair enough. Well, what do you think? Like, can I take all of your activity on LinkedIn and Twitter and just
But is that you?
make all of your posts for the next 2 years? I can probably predict all of your posts for the next 2 years with an LLM. Like all of your emails, all of your texts. I can have an agent that someone can go text and it would sound exactly like you.
Yeah, that's pretty scary, especially if you looked at my text. But
Fair.
so, yeah, I mean, privacy, all those rules. Yeah, I mean, it can be done. I mean, the data's there. We have the data. That's not the thing. Everybody has. It's accessible, but yeah.
I
all
wonder
those laws.
if AI could actually predict it.
100%.
I don't know.
See,
I think
Go
that
for it.
it could validate my personality within my text.
Right.
Say, yeah, this really looks like him, right? I don't know if it could predict what I'm going to say. That's just me. I don't know.
I was going to ask you a question based off of your statement.
100%. But we got to wrap up right
I
after
know.
that.
This will be my
Yes.
last question, though.
Yes.
You say if you took all of my texts, all of my posts, everything I put online, are you honestly your authentic you online? Or are you putting off a persona to the person that you're talking to? Because that is a very
Exactly,
good
yeah.
point. You know, I've discussed this. If I died tomorrow and somebody decided to try and download every bit of information about me to try and create an LLM, would that be me or would it be the me that I chose to put forward?
I think it would be like almost a fixed state of you. You're dynamic. You're going to change tomorrow. But I can almost save a snapshot of you.
At that moment in time, but also think about what I'm doing. Like, do you think that the me that is sitting here having this discussion with you is the me that's sitting at home on my ranch where when I'm not doing
Probably
tech,
not.
I'm a farmer?
Yes. Yes.
It's the me that I choose to put forward. This is what you're getting is my representative in this moment, but
That's
it's
like-
not necessarily me.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe
I
our
like that. That
filter-
restores my faith
Right?
Yeah.
and my hope.
That hit deep. 100%. That's like a great closing remark. I hope you guys enjoy your RSA. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
giving
having
me
us.
Thank you,
1
thank you for
hour
having me.
of your time.
Thank you.
And if you're
Yeah.
anybody
Thanks,
out there,
guys.
come check out the Adversary Village
Yeah, and the
100%.
ICS Village.
And
and
the
the
ICS
ICS
Village.
Village.
And the escape room.
And the escape
In the
room.
escape
I appreciate it, folks.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you so
man.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
I appreciate it.